All right, class, here we are today again, and we are going to talk today about some sacred music in America's history. We're going to talk about a man named Lowell Mason, who you all have been impacted by, whether you know it or not. Do any of you know the name of Lowell Mason? If you don't yet, you will later, and he's very familiar to you, though you may not know the name. So, Lowell Mason was born in 1792, and just a few years before that, there had been a pretty big controversy in sacred music and how it worked in the churches. So in the 1720s and 30s, there was a big controversy between lining out and regular singing. Does anyone want to guess what lining out would be? Well, it was when the director would sing a line or a phrase of the hymn, and then the congregation would repeat it back and sing it. And then the director would sing the next line, and then the congregation would repeat it back. So it's a little bit of a different tradition than we're used to. Regular singing is what we do today, and that's what we're familiar with. So Lowell Mason had a pretty normal musical background when he was growing up, and actually was pretty similar to a lot of yours. So some of you are learning the piano, some of you are learning violin, some of you are doing both, other things, and he did the same kind of thing. He studied music and instruments while he was growing up. Another thing that he did was participate in singing schools, and these were established to teach adults and teenagers how to sing so that the church music would be more effective and better as people sang together in church. So up to this time, though, the main group music education was all done through these singing schools. So Lowell Mason grew up this way, and we're not going to talk about his whole background. He did a lot that we know and remember him for today, but we're going to focus specifically on his hymn tunes that he wrote. Now, his goal as he wrote hymn tunes was that, first of all, the music would reflect the text, and secondly, that it would never distract or draw unnecessary attention to itself away from the words of the hymn. So I want to just show you a few hymns that Lowell Mason either wrote or adapted or arranged hymn tunes for, and you're going to find out pretty quickly that you actually sing his songs all the time and are impacted by his work almost probably on a weekly basis, some of you. Okay, so the first one that I want to show you is called Asmon, and a lot of hymns have tune names. We don't think about it so much now that we have nice, neat, organized hymnals, but a lot of these hymns have specific names for the tune, and they're different from the hymn name that we're used to. Okay, so this is one that Lowell Mason arranged. It's not an original hymn tune that he wrote. He arranged over 400 hymn tunes by other composers, and this was one of them. So, tell me what it is as soon as you know it. You know it? Or 4,000 Tongues? Okay, and you probably sing that pretty regularly, and most of you are probably very familiar with that hymn tune. Another one that he arranged, but that you are very familiar with, in fact, most of the world, at least the whole United States, would be very familiar with this one. Okay, so here it is. This is another one that he arranged, probably from Handel. Okay, so Joy to the World, another one that he arranged. Here's another one. This hymn tune's name is Hamburg, and this is one that you are likely, again, very familiar with. I chose ones that you would know, though he wrote over 1,000 other ones that are lesser known to some of us. But here's one that's very familiar to us. Survey, okay? And that was the tune Hamburg. Now, if you remember, I said that his goal was to write hymns that reflected the text, that didn't distract from the text. And I think you'll find that in this tune for this particular text. When I survey the wondrous cross, is very simple and very contemplative, very reflective, and is very fitting for the text of the hymn. All right, another one that we are going to just briefly look at, probably one that you're familiar with, is called Olivet. And here it is. My faith looks up to thee. Okay, another one that you probably know and have sung many times in your lifetime. All right, we're going to take one particular one of his hymn tunes for an example. And here's one that actually has a pretty significant place in America's history. And I believe this is what was sung as the Titanic was sinking. It is called Bethany, and it is the hymn tune for Nearer My God to Thee. So you know this one probably very well. Okay, so there's another one. Lowell Mason wrote the tune for Nearer My God to Thee. All right, so we said that his goal was to make his tune fit the text. So let's just take some examples of other tunes that would fit the words to this one, and let's see if they fit the text as well as Lowell Mason's tune does. Okay, so Bethany, we just played Nearer My God to Thee, and we know that one pretty well. There are other hymn tunes that fit the words, and I'm going to show you how to find them. So every hymn has a meter. Okay, you can find that in two ways. There are lots of indexes in the back of your hymnal, and most hymnals will have a tune index. So here we are, the tune index, and it shows us that the hymn meter for the hymn Bethany, or for the tune Bethany, is 6/4/6/4/6/6/6/4. And that's found by just counting out the syllables. So, nearer my God to thee, 6, nearer to thee, 4. Okay, and you can go all the way through the hymn and figure out the hymn meter that way. So now that we know the meter is 6/4/6/4/6/6/6/4, let's see if there are other tunes that have the same meter, which means it would match the words, and let's see if they would fit the text like Lowell Mason's tune does. So here I am at the metrical index, and if you can find that quickly, tell me how many other tunes are listed under that meter. Okay, so there's 4. There's Bethany, and then there's 3 others. We're going to look at just 2 for the sake of time today, but we're going to look at, first of all, one that is called Camacha. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's another one that we're probably pretty familiar with. And you have probably sung this tune and didn't know that it was interchangeable with other ones. Never thought about it, probably. So here we are, 337. And we know it to the hymn text, Teach Me Thy Way, O Lord. But it does fit the tune or the text for Nearer My God to Thee. So let's sing it together and let's see if it really works, okay? Here we go. Nearer my God to Thee, nearer to Thee, in that way across that saveth me. This all my prayer shall be, nearer my God to Thee, nearer my God to Thee, nearer to Thee. All right, so you can see how it fits, and it fits pretty well. Now, if you had any thoughts about how the two compare for that text, here's what I was thinking. I think in general it fits decently, and it decently reflects the text, right? It's pretty contemplative, it's slower, it's prayerful, and it's nice and gentle. I don't think it's distracting. But one thing I thought was that "Nearer my God to thee" starts and ends with the same text phrase. It says "Nearer my God to thee" at the beginning, "Nearer to thee," and then it ends with the same text and similar phrase. "Nearer my God to thee, nearer to thee." Okay, so that I think is nice, and it's important. It brings the singer back to the original text of the hymn and just rounds it out and gives it a good finality, connects the thought of the whole thing together. Camacha doesn't quite do that, but if we had to sing "Nearer my God to thee" with that one, I think it would work okay. All right, here's another one. It's called Lundi. So 266 is the number in my hymnal. And here we go. And you know this one. If you know it as the tune for "Fade, Fade, Each Earthly Joy." Let's see how it works with the text for "Near My God to Thee." Nearer my God to thee, nearer to thee, lean though it be across that raiseth me. Bless all my prayer shall be, nearer my God to thee, nearer my God to thee, nearer to thee. And maybe as you were singing along, it's kind of hard to sing some of those other words to a tune that you're used to putting different words to. But what do you think? How does that match the text of "Near My God to Thee"? Well, I think it's probably a little bit more, it has more movement than Bethany does. And I think it's a little bit, the movement makes it a little bit faster, a little bit less contemplative, less prayerful. And I don't think it fits quite as well. Though, again, it fits the words. The words fit with the tune. But I don't think it fits the mood and the message of the text quite as well. All right, so that's Lowell Mason, and here's an assignment for you. I want you to write a new tune for "Nearer My God to Thee," but I want you to follow the same rhythmic pattern as Bethany follows. So use the same, you're going to use obviously the same meter, but I want you to use the same rhythm. So, okay, so it's in 6/8. I had to think about it after using or singing other tunes. But I want you to follow that same rhythmic pattern and come up with a new tune. We're gonna sing them next class time and see how we think they reflect the text as a class. And make sure you keep in mind the considerations that we talked about from the other hymn tunes with the same meter. Don't make it too fast. Make sure it's got a nice flow for the style and the message of the text. And if you can, try to bring back the first phrase of the first line, since the text of the first line is the same as well. All right, so next time you sing Lowell Mason's hymns in church, you might know a little bit more about him. I'd love to talk more about him. He's a fascinating man, and he actually has a lot to do with why you're even learning music in school today. So we'll stop there and reconvene again another time.